Today's professional development is going to be on insubordination in the classroom. This goes, this is going to be a behavior resource for you for when in the classroom that you can utilize some of these steps. And the topic of study today is insubordination. My name is Shadrach Martin, and I'm attending Liberty University. This is for my educational 623 class. What is insubordination? Insubordination is the direct defiance of an authority figure or refusing to obey orders given by someone with a certain position or title that may ask you to do something, such as a teacher, or outside of the school setting, someone such as a manager or such, or in the military, a squad leader, something like that. They're given a title, so they ask you to do something, so they're giving you an instruction to do something. What does insubordination look like? Insubordination looks like, when you put it into actions, it's a student refusing to have a seat, a student refusing to stop talking while a teacher's in front of the class trying to teach a lesson, refusing to put cell phones away, refusing to stay off of school technology devices such as computers or calculators or such iPads while the teacher's trying to give instruction, or even while during the time when it's not expected of you, you should be paying attention to the teacher. Refusing to take hoodies off in the school or classroom, refusing to keep headphones off during class. Even if the headphones are not plugged in, which a lot of students do, but just having them on and giving the perception that they're not giving 100% of their attention when they're asked to do so. Leaving the class without permission or doing anything that is not asked of you in the school environment is what insubordination is. Next, I have a slide on what an example of insubordination is with 3 different types of examples in the school environment setting. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. for your patience.
And that is a great example of insubordination. Insubordination. What's insubordination? Well, insubordination is a failure to comply with a reasonable request. Well, can you give us some examples? Yeah, give some examples. Okay. Watch these few short clips. Grandma, can you please get back to your appropriate seat? Grandma, please get in your correct seat. Warning, I am going to write you up for insubordination. Wow, those are really good examples of what insubordination is. Well, yeah, insubordination is awesome. Maddie? 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 Oh, yeah. So, how do we be subordinate? Well, first, follow through. Be respectful. And know that you're responsible for your own actions. Thanks for watching!
And the work is cited right there from the video that I gathered from YouTube, just a demonstration of what insubordination looks like in the school environment. These are some of the more common things that we deal with in the school environment, such as eating in class, cell phones, hoodies, and such. When a teacher asks us not to do so. So, what was some wrongs and rights in the video that I just shown? And in the case of the first student, if a student's being insubordinate, you want to explain to the student the expectations, even if you have to do it over and over. I know as an educator, we get tired of repeating ourselves over and over saying, take your hoodie out, stop talking in class, take your headphones off. We get tired of being redundant and speaking so, but it's important because we don't know what type of environment they go home to, that they may be allowed to do whatever they want. So every time we ask something of a student, we need to explain to them expectations and also follow up with consequences. You don't want to follow up the consequences in front of class, which I'll go over later, but you want to talk to that student one-on-one. And in the case of student number one, don't make idle threats like the staff member did. When at the end of that section, he said, we have places for students like you. Like, what is a student like him? He may be an outstanding student, he just chose to make a bad decision at that time. Student number two, the teacher can get up from behind the desk and interact with the students. Maybe that will build more rapport with the students, and the students would follow the instructions and wouldn't be insubordinate. And don't yell out across the room in front of a class the consequences, because as a teacher, you'll never win because the student's not gonna back down from that, even if it's a consequence. And if you do it in front of a classroom full of peers, it may escalate the behavior. In the case of student number three, the teacher did a great job of being consistent with the expectations, and they never surround or got close with the student. It may cause the fight or flight process. So at the end of it, when the students were standing right behind them and the teacher was standing in front asking for the cell phone, if you block a student in that's being insubordinate and not following instructions, that may cause them to go into fight or flight. And you don't want them to go into fight or flight, because that may cause them to become aggressive, or it may cause them to run off again. In the case of student number four, the teacher did a great job from getting up behind his desk and handling the problem. The only thing that I saw, in my opinion, was the teacher should not have used sarcasm, because sarcasm can come back in return. And then it'll be a back and forth match until one of them feels that they should give up. Different ways to address insubordination and deal with it in a school environment. It's okay to lose the battle. Losing the battle does not mean losing the battle. It means that you're willing to give up the battle in front of the entire class for the student, and understanding that this will give you more power over managing your class in the future. Because if you try to combat or challenge a student in front of a classroom full of his peers, the student is never going to back down. 9 times out of 10, everything's going to escalate. Then the crowd and audience is going to make the student go above and beyond the usual behaviors that they act. So it's okay as a staff member to lose the battle. Don't take it personal. This is one of my favorites, and I have to let a lot of staff members know. Don't take it personal. Disrespect and insubordination comes from a place within the student that has nothing to do with the teacher, but more of the student and what's going on with the student. So as an adult, you should never take it personal. I know it may be hard because as adults, we have our daily challenges ourselves as we come into school, as our jobs as teachers, educators, or parents. It shows them what to do so it doesn't continue to happen. A lot of times, students only know what they're going through, so they don't know or think about, well, this staff member may be going through a problem as well. So as an adult in the situation, it's good to not take it personal and hold on to something, because a lot of times, as soon as a student walks out of the room, they don't forget about it. And then they come back the next day, they don't think about it. Move on. This goes right with don't take it personal. Refrain from giving a consequence during this time so you can make it a teachable moment for the student. First, let the student be and continue teaching as if nothing happened. It helps the class refrain from giving added attention to the behavior when the teacher ignores it. Return to normalcy before the entire class gets distracted from focusing on the behavior. That's not saying that you don't recognize behavior, but you don't want to bring it to the attention of everybody. Everybody might not have noticed that Johnny was doodling or sleeping in class because they're paying attention. So you don't want to bring the attention of the whole class to it and stop the class. Just make it a teachable moment at a later point in time when less people are around. Do nothing. Doing nothing doesn't really mean doing nothing. Doing nothing means doing nothing at that time. Not showing any emotion or consequences or added attention towards the behavior of insubordination. When you do nothing, this feeds off of the move on concepts to help the student that is being insubordinate. Don't try to be rational or bargain with the student at this time. This will make the student become more agitated. During this time, you have to wait until you know the student is calm and stable to move on with their day. I see this a lot in classes. Teachers want to keep picking at the situation, and it only causes the student become more agitated. If you just let the situation go at that time and then revisit it within the near future, not days later, but within the near future, then you'll get more results out of it because the student is not going to be as agitated or bothered by being called out about the behavior. Enforce the rules. Always enforce the rules. During this time, you know the student is rational and able to take instruction. You also know the student is able to have a conversation and understand. You go over the rules of the classroom or the school, then you have to enforce the rules and explain to the student why. This helps the student as part of their learning process. Enforcing the rules is always important because whether you think about it or not, or think they know, students pay attention to who the rules are being enforced to and if they're being enforced equally across the room. You never want to enforce the rules to some and not to others. You want to enforce the rules at all times. Notify parents. Contact the parents when the time permits and depending on how severe the insubordinate behavior is. Don't stop teaching to call the parent because this will create a downtime for the students to allow more behaviors to come into the classroom. Make sure the form of contact you reach out to the parents is a form of contact that they will respond. A lot of parents I know from the school that I work at will not answer phone calls 9 times out of 10 unless you have a great rapport. See, I call parents on good conduct in school, good test scores, and good grades, but I also call when they're having a bad behavior. So a lot of times parents will call or respond when I call or reach out to them. But you don't want to stop your class, but you always want to notify the parents. You don't want the parent to be blindsided if you're a teacher in the classroom when the parent finally gets a call from the principal or superintendent or somebody saying that their child has done something. Well, why didn't the teacher of the classroom let me know? Or how long has it been going on and the teacher hasn't let me know? I haven't had any contact. It's always important to notify the parents. Document the behaviors. Document the behaviors, intensity, duration, and the antecedents that to the student becoming insubordinate. This is important for data, consequences, and parent conferences. When you present information recorded to students, parents, and or staff, this makes the decision you can't dispute proven data that supports behavior. Even if it's a minimal thing like profanity in the classroom, hood zoning in the classroom, you want to document this behavior so you have data shown that you recognize the behavior and you're asking the student to comply with the school rules and everything. You don't want to just overlook it and then blindside a parent when you have a parent-teacher conference say, well, I'm having so many problems out of Mikey. He's sleeping in class. He's not listening to instructions I'm giving. He's not doing anything. And then the parent asks you, well, what have you done about this? What do you have to show? Can you show me why hasn't he been written up? And that's also for the administrators. They're going to ask you, well, if he's doing all this in a repeated behavior, then why hasn't this came to our attention? Why is it not being documented? You always want to document the behaviors. Timeout. Allow the student to take a timeout. This time should be used by the student to bring them back to a calm and rational state of mind. Having rapport with the student is important during this time, so you know when they are trying to take advantage of the timeout process. This time is important to reflection of the actions as well. This is by far one of the most underrated and underused portions of any behavior, any of the behavior process and dealing with it. As adults, we often like to try to fix the problems immediately, keep picking at it, as I said before, but allow the student and yourself to take a deep breath and remove yourself and just think about everything. This allows the student to calm down and relax and internalize and allow the teacher to talk to them. Quiet time feeds off of that timeout. Quiet time is just that, quiet. Nobody's asking the student any questions. Nobody's trying to talk to the student about what happened. Nobody's asking the student to do any activity. The student's not being bothered, stood over, or any other interaction. When you give the student quiet time during their timeout or after their timeout, this allows the student to gather themselves more. You don't want, when you're upset or bothered, you don't want to be constantly asked questions. Even if it's something that you enjoy talking about, you don't want to be bothered all the time about that stuff. Let the students think about their actions. During the quiet time and timeout, the quiet time is just that quiet. The student is not being bothered. Let them think about all that stuff while they're thinking about it. What happened? What led to this? What could I have done different? These are all the things that you should start working through the process of allowing the student to think about while going through this process of when they have an insubordinate behavior. Positive reward. I know this may sound childish or elementary level style, but positive rewards, even adults love positive rewards, positive feedback. So even students, middle school, high school, not just elementary, love to get positive rewards, positive feedback. A positive reward is not always a positive reward. A reward is sometimes a lesson learned from the behavior or interaction with others. When you reward sometimes, it may be because the process of coping skill you have learned, not because of the negative behavior that got you the attention. This means even after the behavior, you can sit down beside Johnny and say, you know, Johnny, you handled this really well this time. I'm proud of you. You know, you remember last time, you know, you became so uncontrollable that you was willing to fight staff. And you know, this time you got calmed down where you only needed to time out and step outside the classroom. It never escalated it. I'm proud of you. I see the progress in you. So that's a positive reward and positive feedback. Students need to hear that. They don't oftentimes throughout the day get positive feedback. End it. When you end it, that means the consequence has been given, you have talked about it, and the student is ready to be back in class and learn. This means that you're not going around talking about it to other staff. The student is not talking about it with their friends. That means just that, it's ended. Reintegration. This is one of the more important steps of the process as well. Reintegration in the classroom is a key component of the process and the student's success. Most staff hold on to the anger or grudge of a student's behavior longer than the student. This is to help them feel that they are still a normal part of the class despite their previous actions. It was a stumbling stone and things are back to normal now. Reintegration is one of the hardest things because if a student has behavior and depending on how the magnitude of it, they feel that everybody's looking at them or everybody has an opinion about them in the classroom. When you reintegrate them and make them feel like they're part of the classroom or part of the family, the environment again, this makes the student want to work, want to get back to normal and feel that there's nothing being held over their head. Model it. Model behavior in different ways to handle the situation. Show the possible different outcomes when you're modeling. When you continually go over the different ways to handle an issue, then it becomes second nature, and you just act that way. Modeling is important as well. If a student doesn't know how to act, and is always told no, 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 but not saying it should be done like this, then the student doesn't know what to do. Besides, keep trying a different way or keep acting out a different way until they're shown the right way. If I'm telling a student, no, don't get up out of your seat, no, don't sharpen your pencil, no, don't do this, no, don't talk to me, no, don't do this, but I'm not saying, all right, Matthew, I want you to sit in your seat, and once I get done, then you can go sharpen your pencil. Don't just say no, 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 no. You gotta let them know what your expectations is in your classroom. That helps you manage your classroom better, instead of them always feeling like you're gonna tell them no, so they're gonna get up and do it anyway. Incorporate some of the lessons learned during the behavior into the daily cycling class or passing when you see the student. Incorporation gives the student daily reassurance that someone is there to see them do better and not just allow them to fail. When you have a student, say Jane, that's always using profanity in class, always singing out in class, always has their headphones on, so you pass them in the hallway, they don't have their headphones on, they're not singing out, they're having a normal conversation. It's okay to reach out and say, hey Jane, I just wanna let you know, you're doing a good job. You're incorporating the school's expectations in the hallway and doing what we're asking you to do. This shows that you care outside of your classroom, and it helps build a rapport with the student. Inclusion is asking the student to be involved again. This is part of the integration process as well. This is not directly asking, but when there's participation needed, ask the student if there's a question, call on the student, or get them excited about learning again. This doesn't mean as soon as you put them back in class and you're trying to reintegrate them, you want to ask them everything and say, hey Johnny, you tell me this, you tell me that, because they may not know because they was outside their class during that time. But if you feel it's something simple, or, well, hey, what color is this on the board, what we're talking about, John? Then they can say, and they're feeling more involved. And this helps build their morale, and it builds their confidence coming back into the classroom. So inclusion is always important. Replacement behaviors is what you work on during the model stage. This helps the student internalize what they should or could do in the place of the negative behavior to receive some positive attention. Replacement behaviors helps the students reassure themselves that they can do better. Clean slate. This is one of the most important things in the process. After everything is all said and done, you want to have a clean slate. Clean slate is what a child should have coming into your classroom. Even if you can't forgive a student or child for having behaviors, then the staff is part of the problem. The adult has to allow the student to redo each day with nothing being held over their head or against them. Giving a student a clean slate is not a teacher being ignorant of what's going on. It's a teacher giving the student a chance each day to make the right decisions. If you don't allow them to make the right decisions and always think they're going to make the wrong decisions and give them consequences or anticipate that, then that's just what they're going to do. They're going to make the wrong decisions. You got to allow a clean slate for each student, and you can't hold on to things. You can't go home and take it and internalize it, then come back the next day, as soon as you see the student, like, oh, I know what kind of day I'm going to have. Johnny's here. I know all he's going to do is cuss and sleep and talk while I'm trying to teach class. You gotta allow the student to have a clean slate each and every time. I just want to say thank you. This has been my PowerPoint presentation and professional development on behavior and using the resources on insubordinate behavior. Remember, staff are responsible for how they handle the situation in their classroom, but students are accountable for their actions still. This is all part of classroom management. Thank you.